of the uh, language learning strategies, but in teaching, we often call this yeah, the can you see this grammar and translation method. Is a method, is a way of doing things, um, whereby you teach the English language by means of uh, directly teaching them grammar, grammatical rules like verb to be, articles, prepositions, tenses, for example, and the translation where you translate from Thai to English and vice versa, and backward and forward. And grammar and translation as a method is not new. It's been uh, with us, I mean, human beings for thousands of years. I mean, we can trace back to the ancient Chinese tradition and the, Greek and Roman, during the Greek and Roman education or the periods over there. So I mean, only fraction. Grammar and translation is very intuitive. Yeah, it's something intuitive. Intuitive means it's common sense. It's something that we are doing this all the time. For example, you are on the way, or you're in, like, let's say, Yangon, which is the a big city in Myanmar. You have to kind of trying to switch back, switch, switch the language forward and backward between Thai and the target language all the time. For example, you will say, "Oh, how much is that? How much is this? DP scene, Belo le, DP scene, Belo le. DP scenes, it means this thing, this thing. Belo le is mean how much? This thing, how much?" So you are actually automatically doing the translation in your brain. And so it is natural, therefore, to kind of switch languages, switch to Thai, switch to Japanese, especially if you are a polyglot. A polyglot is someone who can speak many languages. So, and sooner or later, you have to kind of recognize the patterns, structures. You can do this by memorizing the grammatical rules with exceptions. Of course, every rule has an exception. And then you kind of deduce, deduce, it means you are thinking from the general to that particular. You see what I mean? So the general rule says that you have to use past simple tense if you are describing past events, for example. So if you want to say, I went to Myanmar 2 years ago, so you cannot say I go to Myanmar 2 years ago, because go is the present tense. So you have to transform the tense, conjugate the tense to the past tense, like I went to Myanmar 2 years ago. So this kind of method of process is called the deductive process. Deduction means you are summarizing, or you are inferring something from the principles down to the many details or particulars, many particulars. And yeah, that's the basic what we call concept of what I call grammar and translation as a teaching method. And there's nothing wrong with using this method. Some people will argue that we should not use this kind of method. We have to use, you know, other methods. But I would argue that grammar and translation as a method is very natural when you are actually traveling to places, foreign countries. You are actually using these two methods all the time. I may be wrong, but we can discuss this. Okay, I'm Chan Patat Puton, and I'm here in my garden talking about grammar translation method. Thank you for watching.